Level 1, the lookout. You're standing outside a pawn shop on the edge of Little Havana, phone in your hand, pretending to scroll messages you're not reading. Your job is simple: watch for patrol cars. That's it. You don't know the full plan. You don't know who's involved beyond the guy who found you outside a bar at Ocean Beach after he heard you complain about rent. You know your cut: $1,500 for maybe 40 minutes of standing still. More money than you've made in a week stacking boxes at the port. The risk feels abstract. You've never been arrested. Consequences are things that happen to other people in other neighborhoods, not to you, not on this corner. Your phone buzzes. The signal. They're inside. Your heart rate spikes. This just became real. A woman walks past pushing a stroller, normal life continuing while you participate in something that could end it. The minutes stretch. No sirens yet. Then a cruiser turns onto the block, slows near the intersection. Your instructions were clear: see police, text one letter X. Your thumb hovers. The cruiser rolls through and keeps going. False alarm. You exhale. The second buzz comes 6 minutes later. They're out. You don't see them leave. You walk 2 blocks the opposite way, exactly as told, and find an envelope taped under a bench. You count it twice. $1,500. You fold it into your jacket and catch the tram home like nothing happened. On the ride, you think about how clean it was, how nothing went wrong, how the money is already warm against your ribs. You also think about doing it again, not because you need to, because you want to know what the next level feels like. That thought is the most dangerous thing that's crossed your mind all year. Level 2, the bagman. 18 months later, you're inside a bank on the edge of South Beach, the role nobody wants because it carries the most exposure and the most time if it goes wrong. But the money is real, 15 to 20,000 a job, and your girlfriend Marisol is 6 months pregnant with a nursery she wants to paint before the baby comes. She thinks you drive freight at night. You let her believe it because the truth would break something you can't afford to lose. You hand the first teller a note, simple instructions, all the cash, no die packs. The pistol under your jacket is visible enough to communicate the threat, not visible enough to trigger panic. Your voice doesn't shake, your hands don't move. 90 seconds inside, 3 tellers, maybe 14,000 out the door. You exit into a car already idling behind the building, and by the time it pulls onto the causeway toward the mainland, you're a different person again. The money goes to the crib, the hospital deposit, the electric bill. You tell yourself it's temporary. One more job, maybe 2. You do 4 more that year because the math never stops making sense when you're the one doing the adding. Then one morning, 3 weeks after your last job, they come through the apartment door. Marisol screams from the kitchen. A teller picked you out of a photo array. Your face was on camera for 6 seconds. 6 seconds. You take the plea, 6 years. Marisol visits the first year, then less, then not at all. The last time you see her, she tells you she met someone who works dockside with regular hours. She says your daughter deserves stability. You want to argue? You can't, because she's right. Level 3, the planner. You're out after 4 with good behavior. Marisol is remarried. Your daughter calls the other man by his first name and calls you nothing because she doesn't remember you. Nobody hires a man with your record for legitimate work. You send out 30 applications your first month, 2 callbacks, 0 offers, but you learn things inside from professionals who did this for decades before one mistake caught up with them. Camera blind spots, guard rotations, how to build a crew where nobody knows more than their piece. You meet Alec your 3rd week out, washing dishes at the same halfway house kitchen. Former armored transport driver, did 3 years for a run that went bad outside Port Gellhorn. Quiet, disciplined, watches everything, doesn't talk about the past unless you ask, and even then he measures every word like a man who's been burned by saying too much. You start planning. He doesn't commit right away. He asks the questions that prove he's smarter than you expected. What's the response time from the nearest precinct? What happens if the vault's on a timer? Where's the second exit? Where's the third? He thinks in contingencies. You think in opportunities. Together, that's a complete operation. You spend 2 months watching a credit union out past Ambrosia's industrial edge, then a strip mall, bank, and Grass Rovers. You know the manager's parking spot, the guard's bathroom break, the response time from the county line. The Grass Rovers job clears 31,000, clean and quiet. Alec takes his cut in the diner parking lot, shakes your hand. No celebration, just business. You clear 9,000, more than a year washing dishes. The guilt you expected never shows up. What arrives instead is clarity. You're good at this. Prison didn't take the skill, it sharpened it. You do 5 more jobs across 5 counties over the next year, never hitting the same region twice inside 6 months, because repetition is what gets crews caught. After the 5th, Alec meets you at a rest stop off the interstate near Mount Calaga. He orders coffee, doesn't touch it. He tells you he's done, not because he's scared, because he got what he needed, 44,000 saved toward a fishing boat and a plot of land past the Keys. Quiet water, no past. He says something you'll replay for years. The trick isn't knowing when to start, it's knowing when the math stops making sense. Right now, it still works for you. It won't forever. He slides a napkin across the table with a number on it, his cousin's landline out on the water. If you ever need a place where nobody knows your name, he shakes your hand and walks out, and you watch him drive south, toward a life you're not ready for yet. Level 4, the crew boss. You're running your own operation now, 6 people you trust, 2 more you're evaluating, a percentage off every job even when you're not in the room. You've graduated from banks to the biggest score in Leonida, an armed transport contract feeding cash and art insurance payouts through the Kortz Center, the cultural institution overlooking Vice City's coastline, marble halls, private security, one Friday night gala when half its vault sits exposed for transfer. Your inside contact works logistics. Your 2 best runners handle the loading dock. 12 minutes, approach to exit. Cash reserves and a crated shipment worth more than every bank job you've ever pulled combined. You clear 410,000 after the split. The task force hunting your crew gives you a name in the papers. You read about yourself over coffee in a motel outside Port Gellhorn and feel something you shouldn't, pride, the first symptom of the disease that ends everyone in this line of work. Alec would have taken the paper out of your hands and told you to read about the people looking for you instead. But Alec's out on the water building a dock, and you're studying your own legend. You start taking bigger risks, a second run at Kortz during a private auction, a cash transfer at the port in broad daylight. The crew follows because the money follows. Nobody questions the boss when the check's clear. One night at 2 in the morning, you almost call the number on the napkin. You don't know what you'd say. Maybe you just listen to his voice and remember what it sounds like when someone who cares about you tells you to stop. You put the phone down. 9 days later, your loading dock contact gets picked up on an unrelated charge, his third strike, life without parole staring back at him. He does the math, his life against yours. He tells them everything, the safe house, the crew, the next job plan down to the minute. The task force watches you for 2 months before they move, coordinated raids across 4 counties, same morning, 6 agents through your door while the television's still on. The trial takes 11 weeks. Conspiracy, armed robbery, racketeering across state lines, recorded calls, surveillance footage, your own contact on the stand describing every detail like he's reading from a manual. The jury needs 3 hours, 22 years federal, 85% minimum. You're 34. You'll be 53 walking out. Level 5, the lifer. Your body breaks down year by year, bad knees from concrete floors, a back that never forgives the mattress. You learn when to fight and when to disappear. Year 3, your daughter turns 12, a photo arrives, and you don't recognize the girl in it. You pin it above the bunk until the face becomes familiar, which takes longer than it should. Year 5, you write Alec for the first time in years, 3 pages about nothing, the food, a book about a fisherman, no apology because it would be too big to fit on the page. He writes back 2 weeks later, 1 page. He's got the boat, a dock dog named Chief, his cousin's kids over on weekends. He doesn't ask about prison because he already knows. He ends the letter the way he ended the conversation at the diner. The math always catches up. He doesn't say, I told you so. He doesn't have to. Year 11, a 20-year-old lands on your block, robbed a check cashing spot in Little Haiti for $1,100, got 15 years for it. He reminds you of yourself on that corner outside the pawn shop. Certain $1,500 was worth the risk. You want to tell him the money is never enough? He wouldn't listen. Because you didn't either. Year 13, Alec drives 9 hours up from the Keys to visit, gray at the temples now, talks about his garden, a second dog named Deputy because Chief needed a partner. He doesn't mention what you did. He talks about the world outside like he's leaving a door open. Before he leaves, he puts his hand flat on the glass. You put yours against it on your side. He nods once. That's it. The parole board asks if you're rehabilitated at year 18. You give them the answer they want. The truth is more complicated. You're not sorry for the money. You're sorry you got caught. Sorry for the years. Sorry your daughter grew up without you. But the planning, the execution, the seconds when everything aligned, you'd be lying if you said you didn't miss that part. They deny you. 2 more years. You write Alec that night. He writes back in 4 days. The doc has a second chair. Always has. You're released at 56 into a Leonida you don't recognize, trams that run themselves, payments made with a wave of the wrist, a skyline over Vice City that's grown taller in your absence. Your daughter visits once, 32 now, a paralegal, of all things. She asks where you were for kindergarten, for her graduation, for every ordinary Tuesday a father is supposed to show up for. You answer everything because you owe her that. She doesn't cry. She listens, nods, says she needed to hear it, and leaves after 40 minutes without promising to come back. 3 months later, you take a bus 9 hours south. Alec picks you up at the station, older, slower, chief long gone, but deputy still guarding the porch. He shows you the second chair, weathered from years of rain and sun, waiting. You sit. He hands you a cup of coffee without looking up. It's terrible. The water past the dock is calm. Sometimes you still pass a bank or a museum loading dock and notice things civilians don't: camera angles, guard rotations, blind spots that haven't changed in 20 years. The knowledge never leaves. It sits in your head like a language you learned as a child, fluent, permanent, useless. The man who would have acted on it died somewhere around year 15. What's left is just a man on a porch on the Leonida coastline, drinking bad coffee, next to the only friend who chose differently at the exact moment it mattered. Most days, that's enough.